What's up, traders? Matt from the Trade Brigade here doing a technical analysis on ticker symbol INDI for INDI Semiconductors. On the left-hand side, we have the daily time frame, and on the right-hand side, the 30-minute intraday time frame. This, of course, is the first time we've covered this one on the channel, so let's start by giving ourselves a daily roadmap here, coming in, mapping out obvious areas of support and resistance. Then we'll drill down to the 30-minute and talk more nuance. So quickly coming in for these levels in here, I do think, and again, this is a newer company here. It either went public via SPAC, merger, or IPO, not sure, but either way, we always like knowing where that high was as well as the open, so we'll put those two levels on as well. Underneath, we have those supports, and to the upside, really, over today's high is just blue sky areas. So zooming over to the 30-minute intraday time frame chart now to talk a little bit more nuance. Obviously, an increase in volume on today's session. If we're going to continue to see momentum in this name, volume needs to hold up, right? That's always going to be the driver whenever we're dealing with momentum plays. If volume starts tapering off and we see it like it was back here, expect more choppy action, right? And not such, a momentum-driven breakaway trade in the upward or even downward direction, right? Obviously, if big momentum comes to the downside, that will also have large increase in volume. So what I think is interesting about this is based on the levels that we've already drawn, so the open as well as that sort of initial drive higher, you'll notice that we're consolidating right around that area into the end of the day here. In the post-market, we're trading 1150 by 1139, so right around this general zone in here. We're not too far off, and that strikes me as fairly bullish, right? So if we take out the Fibonacci's to look at this move through the lens of the this tool, right? We're going from the low of the breakout to the high up here, essentially. What you'll notice is the 38.2 is in this range. We have that, again, remember that this level right here, that 1150, is coming from the opening print of the merger or IPO, whichever it was. I'm not going to look it up. And then underneath that, we have the 50 as well as all this structure. So there's a lot of support in this general zone in here. Also noting, if I just remove that, we also had these prior highs, right in here. And when resistance is broken, it does tend to act as support on the back test, right? So overall, I would just be watching out for this 1140 zone that we have mapped out on the chart. So about 10-cent zone of support here. As long as it holds, bullish consolidation happens here, breakout over today's high puts into play blue sky levels, $1.50, as well as 25-cent and even 10-cent marks on something that's trading underneath $15. Once we get over 15, you can start looking more at the quarters, half dollars, whole dollars, and not so much the 10-cent marks. But those are my thoughts as we remain under 15. Now, where things get interesting would be a breakdown back underneath this 1150. And why do I think that's potentially reasonable? Well, unless there's, again, the volume's going to be the driver here. Unless there's volume to the upside supporting another leg higher, I think that anyone who sort of got in early on the initial drive higher from the merger or IPO, whichever it was, is maybe potentially getting out break even, right? If you think about the people who are here, if they don't want to be in this, if this was not the move they expected, and they're just like, you know what, I've had enough is enough, I'm just going to bail here, that's where we start to see a little bit of struggle, right? So this is going to be a very pivotal zone if we cannot resolve this 1150. If we resolve it higher, you know my thoughts. If we resolve it lower, we're just looking out for next daily support, which we have around 1075, and then underneath that, the bottom end of this range, kind of back down towards 10 and 980, coming from these pivot lows in here. So those are my thoughts. A lot is going to depend on volume and what happens with our 1150, 1140 zone. Over, fine. Continue to have that bullish stance. Underneath, that's where I would start to get a little bit concerned that the again, weak-handed buyers from the open in here are starting to unload some shares, right? So that's going to wrap it up. If you enjoyed the video or learned anything new, definitely let me know down below in the comments section or by giving the video a thumbs up. Don't forget our main channel is linked in the description, and all of that being said, I wish you a green trading week.